Hi, I'm Rob from the Global Society and I'm here in Cairns today to talk to Australian business leaders about why overseas study is so important, what the new Colombo Plan is and what the amazing opportunities are for businesses both in Australia and around the world to get involved with the scheme.
I'm really excited to be here in hot country. I'm Steve Irwin excited because this stuff, getting Australian students to get out of their comfort zone and study in the region, I'm extremely passionate about. So not just regular passionate, Steve Irwin passionate about it. And the new Colombo Plan is the Australian government's signature foreign policy initiative. So I'm sure many of you have heard about it. The Foreign Minister has done a fabulous job in talking about it just about everywhere she goes. And the new Colombo Plan has two main streams to it. The first is an elite scholarship for Australian university students to go and study somewhere in the Indo-Pacific region. So to spend 6 months or a year studying in a university, and on top of that to add on an internship experience as well. So very detailed, in-depth experiences, and that also gives them amazing exposure to all kinds of organisations while they're out there. More than that as well, the second part of the program is the maths side of the program, if you like. And what that's about is getting as many students as possible to have an experience in the Indo-Pacific region, and that's called the Mobility Program. Mobility Program runs a little bit differently. Scholarships are individually based. The Mobility Programs are basically run by their Australian university. So that gives the university an opportunity to set up a program, whether it's a study tour, a clinical placement, perhaps a semester exchange or some other kind of study program, or internships inside a host country or several host countries, and students can go up there, and they're very well funded. Those students on the sort of shorter term mobility programs still get $3,000, which is incredibly generous. So plenty of opportunities for Australians to study in the region. I am really passionate about this because I believe that students are in this formative period at university, and when they travel abroad to study, it defines them, it transforms them in some way. And the amazing thing about new Colombo Plan is that it gives them an opportunity to have that experience in our region. So this is a phenomenal opportunity, not just for students, but for businesses and universities around the region to really breed this passion into Australian students and to really engage them in the Indo-Pacific. And that's a pretty phenomenal opportunity. Now, because it is the mid-afternoon death slot, I'm not just going to keep talking. I'm going to have a couple of students tell you a little bit about their experiences. So I have a video from one of the scholars, so one of the elite scholarship holders. And then after that, I also have a video from one of the mobility students. So let's start off.
So my name's Emily Forsyth. I study at the University of Tasmania, and I'm in my final year of law and business. So I went to Vanuatu and I studied at the University of the South Pacific in Port Vila. The highlight of my new Colombo Plan experience was the people. I met a lot of great friends at the university as well as through my internship, and I've maintained those connections. While I was in Vanuatu, I did an internship at the State Law Office in Port Vila. So that body is the legal advisory body of the government of Vanuatu. The experience was very unique. I definitely couldn't have got that anywhere else. I think the benefit of doing a new Colombo Plan experience is to gain that experience in the Indo-Pacific region. That's the future of Australia, and I think it's important to make connections with that region. I think for students who are thinking of applying for a new Colombo Plan scholarship should just go ahead and do it. You never know where the experience will take you. You'll learn many new things, and I think it's very prestigious. They're quite elite scholarships, so definitely if the opportunity is there, you should take it.
Amazing exposure, not just studying there, but also being able to do an internship in an organisation that just as a regular student you can get access to. Let's hear from Eileen Cerner from Murdoch University in Western Australia.
My name's Eileen Cerner. I'm a third year nursing student from Murdoch University, and I went to Omgoi, which is in rural Thailand. The whole placement was 3 weeks in total, and that included travelling time over there and back. The highlight of my trip was working closely with the hospital staff of the Omgoi Hospital. It is a rural village, so they work with really basic sort of medical equipment. So the highlight was really learning to work with the fundamentals to give healthcare to the rural villages there. And I really gained a passion for international health over there. So I want to do my postgraduate studies in international health, which was a big eye-opener for me. So it really helped me find my path. I would say go and do it. You'll have a blast. It's not just a normal placement. You get to learn all these things you don't get to learn in Australia, and you basically get to do everything you can't do here.
I absolutely love this stuff. I mean, when you hear a student, a young person like that saying, it helped me find my path, and they're talking about something inside our region, that's incredibly powerful. And I think what these two experiences show is the depth of what the new Colombo Plan is able to offer. It's giving not only masses of students opportunities to study in the region, but it's also enabling our best and brightest, our really elite students to have very detailed, in-depth experiences, which is incredibly powerful as well. So I wanted to give a few stats about why this is important anyway for us as businesses and organisations, about why students should be getting out there to study overseas or something else. What we've got are some figures from the Australian government, a couple of years old, but the stats are pretty much the same. And this is showing graduate employment about students, they come out of university, how fast they get a job. And the number of students out of work 3-4 months after their degrees is growing quite a lot, or in this case, the amount of employment is dropping. So students are needing more and more on their resumes in order to stand out from the crowd. And obviously as businesses, we want to help create employment. We also want to hire the best and brightest, and we want to get great outcomes from those people. Unfortunately, overseas study is associated with all of the wonderful soft skills that employers love. There's a very strong correlation between all of these wonderful soft skills and international study experiences. Students are more creative, they're more flexible, they're more adaptable. All these things that we love as employers, they get from having had international study experiences. It's just often the link between an international study experience and those soft skills isn't strongly drawn. The number of Australians having these experiences has grown a lot. Back when I started doing stats in this area, almost 10 years ago, a little bit more, it was about 1 in 25 Australian students had this kind of experience. Now it's down to 1 in every 6, which is a huge growth over 10 years. And for those of you who know the tipping point, the Malcolm Gladwell book, the tipping point, 16%. 16% of young Australians are now having international study experiences. So we're going to tip from the early adopters into the mainstream. How does that compare? Australia cops a lot of heat because we're very good at recruiting international students. We get criticised because we don't send many students overseas. We're actually better than the USA. The USA has a 40-year history of sending students on overseas study programs, and Australia now proportionally sends more young Australians on international study experiences than the US. So there's we are coming up the inside. We are beating the Americans. So we're doing really well. We're actually doing incredibly well in terms of getting young Australians to study study anywhere. Here what we can see is the growth of where they're going. Once again, Australians don't study in the Asia Pacific. Well, actually they do. You can see on the left-hand side, this is the growth of Asia as a destination through time, and it's definitely increasing. Over here in yellow, the rest of the world is essentially Pacific. Okay, so growing very quickly in terms of where students are going. And Australia, we're on the cusp of this Apple share price moment. This is the moment where the number of young Australians going on international study experiences is about to explode. And I'm talking about the new Colombo Plan here, the impact of EDC. At the moment, the funding window, we're sitting right in here in that flat spot of the funding. So far, in the last 3 years since the scheme's been active, there have been 10,000 Australians who've had an international study experience that's been funded under the new Colombo Plan. In a year and a half's time, there's going to be 10,000 a year. So I actually say to the Australian universities, the flood is coming, and you need to be ready for it. There's going to be a lot more young Australians studying in the region. Why should businesses be involved? And here I'm kind of pitching to you folks about why you should be involved. I'll take it straight from the Minister who came up with the idea for this program in the first place.
If you travel around our region, the Indian Ocean, Asia Pacific, in any one of the 38 countries that are eligible to receive Australian students under the new Colombo Plan, government ministers know about this program. Business leaders know about this program. Universities and students know of the new Colombo Plan. It's no coincidence that we chose the name New Colombo Plan because, of course, there was an original Colombo Plan in the 1950s through to the early 1980s. A scheme that brought young people from the region to Australia to study in our universities, live with our families on our campuses, get to know Australians and leave with an Australian qualification. The young original Colombo Plan scholars are today amongst the political business community leaders in our region. I can sit down at a bilateral meeting opposite a cabinet minister from Singapore and they will have been in Australia as a Colombo Plan scholar. You just cannot build that kind of connection, that kind of understanding, that relationship that endures unless you've had this, what was then a remarkable opportunity to live and study in another country.
So why should we engage? We should engage because these young people undertaking New Colombo Plan experiences are our future leaders, our future political leaders, our future business leaders, our future community leaders. That's an incredibly powerful way for us to connect them not only to your own organisations but to the region as a whole. So how can we get involved? There's basically an issue we've got here with Australians going to a place like PNG. Okay, because Main Street PNG doesn't look anything like Main Street Sydney. And the Australian universities don't necessarily have the depth of experience that's required to translate, experiences for young undergraduates into an experience in a place like PNG. And this is where the Australian universities need people such as yourselves. It's to basically help them create these kind of experiences for students. And by that I'm not talking about funding them, I'm not talking about spending heaps of time holding their hands up there, but it is just about providing them some access to what you do up there. And there's two essential opportunities. The first one is with these mobility programs. Groups of Australian students coming up to PNG to spend time there. That could be as little as a couple of weeks. And your organisations could help those students have an experience showing them what you do up there. And every Australian university would be interested in working with you. The second is around offering internships to Australia's best and brightest. So these are the scholarship holders, and here's an example from GE. GE offered a wonderful internship for a couple of scholars to come up and do an internship around maternal and infant health. And those scholars weren't doing their full scholarship in PNG, they were actually doing it elsewhere in the region, and they came to PNG just to do the internship. And that's permitted under the New Colombo Plan. It can actually be very well funded in order to do that. So a phenomenal opportunity to get your hands on some of Australia's best and brightest. And this is my last analogy for the afternoon. Mid-afternoon death flight once again. So this finishes it up.
Guys ready? Yes. Go 10, 9, 8,
Boom!
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So my analogy is the New Colombo, it's a bit like a firecracker going off. These are amazing experiences. We don't know exactly how it's going to end up, but it's going to make a huge impact. That's for sure. And to leave you with one last thought, I've now interviewed New Colombo Plan scholars, so these elite best and brightest students all around the country. I've interviewed a whole bunch of them. The number one thing that they say was the highlight of their experience was their international internship with the organisation. So to paint that as a picture for you, you've got one of Australia's future leaders spending a period inside your organisation, and that is the highlight of what is something absolutely transformational for you. So what we're actually talking about is not just the impact of one person doing one internship. You're talking about a future leader and all of the people that they will touch throughout their careers and the impact that will have for your organisation, your brand, and how much gratitude they've got to you for that. So it's something that has not just a little bit of impact, but
A whole lot of impact.
and I encourage you
to be involved.